Hosted by Young Ty. Co-host Robert Go. You're listening to the Voices of the Underground podcast.
Robert Go, how's it going, buddy?
Oh man, I never get over that intro. Like, I'm still surprised that we were able to get that made. It is fucking gas. Every time I click on YouTube, dude, it's heat. But I'm doing good, man. I just got back into town, so I'm glad we were able to get this filmed today. Spent some time in wonderful Phoenix, Arizona, where the education level is like below, like the lowest in the country, but it's a fucking gorgeous state. And I got to meet one of our guests, Franny J. So that was a good time out there. How about you? What have you been up to since we last chatted?
Working a lot, man, like always. That 9 to 5 grind. Everybody knows about that, right?
You need to retire, dude, and just do music full time. Trust me, the 1/1/16th of a penny in Spotify will pay the mortgage if you get enough streams.
Yeah, in about 50 years from now. But anyways, we got some special guests here in the building with us. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the podcast, Joe and Pete from Castor Pollux. How's it going, guys?
What's up, guys? How are you guys doing?
We're doing pretty well, man. And I just want to say, unfortunately, I wasn't able to meet you, Joe, at the show when I was there in January, but I was able to meet Pete, so it was pretty awesome to do.
Yeah, I heard about that. Unfortunately, I had I think, third time I had COVID?
Dude, you're leading the league in COVID, man. They got this vaccine, which does not work, but I hear you can take it, and it's supposed to help. So wait, you guys are twins?
Yes, we are identical twins. We probably look fraternal to a lot of people, but it's like the hairstyles.
Yeah,
and it's changed over the years, but yeah, identical twins.
Who's older? Which one of you guys is older?
Joe.
Nice. Are you bossing him around a little? Are you bossing Pete around a little bit? Are you kind of pulling that big brother card? How's that working?
If anything, it's this kid.
Nice.
I'm sorry, we didn't meet. Pete said that the show was sick and everything. Everyone was there, so I was pretty mad that I wasn't there to support.
Yeah, but your health is a lot more important, man, than a show. There'll be other shows. But speaking of shows, you guys have been killing it recently, going out of state of New York and all that. Tell us a little bit about that and how you guys got kind of with Insomniac. I see you guys more with Insomniac.
Yeah, I guess we could probably turn the clocks back to 2020 almost,
Yeah.
when COVID hit. I think one of the big things we always talk about is when we started doing live streams. Obviously during COVID, there was no live shows, and it was really, really tough for a lot of DJs to kind of get themselves out there. Everybody was probably cooped up, just making music at the time, and we were doing the same thing. And there was a point where, as a person, there's a fear of missing out, right? Like, you see these guys now, you see all these people, like your friends doing something, but during COVID, nobody was doing anything, so you had nothing really to miss out on. And I think that was a really good chance for me and Joe to kind of hone in on our, productions, but also seeing that nobody was really doing. Everyone was doing live streams, but not to the caliber that we wanted to do them. And I guess we kind of took that to where we were like, okay, we're going to make it like if we were playing a real show. And we did bi-weekly live streams from November 2020 to about June 2021, when obviously everything started opening up. And I think the great thing about it was, I think me and Joe were speaking about it actually yesterday, was like every single live stream we did, we wanted to make it the most exclusive live stream there was, because obviously there was a lot of guys, doing radio shows at the time on YouTube, and they were doing a lot of ID showcases. But like for us, we were going to the labels, we were getting promos from a bunch of different DJs, and it was a great platform for us to support the guys that we obviously know in our underground scene, but to also support other artists that weren't getting supported by, the bigger radio shows. And I think that really helped us catapult ourselves to always playing new music, and then obviously playing our own stuff as well. I think that was a big part of it. And then I guess June 2021 hit, and Joe, you can.
Yeah, I think the with the audience that we had on the live streams, we had a lot of engagement. People always like talking on the streams, which was great. We'd always like let the other producer DJs know, like, hey, we're gonna be playing your track. We'd love to have you guys on just to see your track being played. And what that really did for us was those guys would share us on their story. They take the clip of their track being played by us, like us going crazy. And then what that would do is that would pretty much their followers would see us playing, and they're like, well, who are these guys? And then it would kind of be like a spiral into like this little rabbit hole for these guys to find out who we were. And that's how we kind of grew our fan base. Like that's how a lot of people found out about us. And then once we kind of found out about that, we realized like in June when things started opening up, it's like, okay, well, we got that under our belt. I think it's time to kind of really separate ourselves in terms of trying to play shows. And we did that first locally. I think it's so important to kind of get a local following and get people to your shows. And that's how you build a following locally. So we did that with a few places, and we found this guy in New York, and shout out to him. We're going to say his name on the show. His name is DJ Stoon. He's a local DJ in New York. He's been in the game for like 15 plus years. He's built up relationships across all of the New York City clubs. He took us in on a whim. He was just like, I'll let you guys play on a Wednesday. And we were like, well, we have work tomorrow, but we'll take it, because at the time we're like, well, we gotta show this guy we're serious. And I think from there we kind of never looked back New York locally during that summer. And then like we kind of built ourselves up. And if you guys have done your research, November of that 2021 year, we all those showcases kind of led up to us playing Echostage with Alan Walker, where we opened and closed for him. And that show kind of just really changed everything for us, just from the venue itself to just like kind of being in a green room to like having like the talent bar in there with you, like asking for like what kind of rider you want. It was like a totally different thing than what we were so used to locally. Because locally in New York, we would just show up to these little like bars.
Right.
They would put us in the corner and we play. Like they were fun, but that was nothing compared to what Echostage was.
Well, rewind it back a little bit to 2020, because that's what I wanted to talk about was those live streams, because you hit it right in the head as far as getting popular, because I wasn't aware of who you guys were. And then I had a couple of my buddies, they say, oh man, I got supported on this, and they sent the clip. And you guys, dude, obviously it was a live stream. Everyone was in lockdown and quarantine. Nobody told you guys, because the way that show was ran, it was a live show. It was like the energy was there. And it was just like watching a live, minus the people, obviously, but like watching you guys work, you treated it as if you were in front of 10,000 people on Tomorrowland or whatever the case was. And that, to me, I thought that caught my eye big time, because then I know other record labels like Intensity, I had to track with them. They had sent it to you guys as well. You guys supported it, which was really cool. But yeah, you guys had the lights, the theatrics and everything. That, like you said, that for me, like put you on the map from the underground scene. And then obviously what you guys did with the Alan Walker show was amazing. How long ago did you guys get started into this? Like what year was like the endeavor for you guys to start this project?
Yeah, I think, and like Rob, going back to what you were saying about the live streams before we go like to when we started, that's how we treated them. Like we treated those live streams like if you were coming to see us at a show. So I think it was really, really important to give that energy back to the people that are watching us, because like you could do a live stream, you could just be standing there.
Dude, I've seen every fucking guy was doing it. It was the most. I was watching paint dry, listening to music. Okay, was that hard for you guys though? Was that hard for you to get jacked up and be like, all right, we're gonna run it like we're doing this live? Was that hard to kind of in a studio by yourself?
Yeah, I mean it is. It was quite weird at the time, because like you're looking at 3 cameras and nobody's in there with you, so it's like you gotta. But that's the thing, we like, I don't know, we just always got amped up to play new music. That was like the great thing. It was like about showing, it was all about like the music, but it was also showing those artists like we care about your music. It's not like we're just gonna play you and like we're just gonna stand there.
Yeah, the live chats were fucking classic, by the way. You guys had like 100 people, and I remember this, and that was like the big show. I remember going from a Discord right into your live chat, and it was like that was a thing. That was like the hangout back in the day, back in quarantine.
I was going to say also with that, like, and with the live streams, like it also created a lot of relationships for us as well. You guys, a lot of guys in our underground scene, like we became close friends with a lot of people because of these, like sharing their music, playing them. Like we had a lot of guys just come to us after those shows and be like, it means the world to us that you actually were able to play up my music, because like I don't really get supported like that. And we were just like, well, like that's the whole point of this. It's not just there's a lot of like selfish, there could be selfishness in the scene, and we were all about like, we're here to support anybody that we believe could give us great music, and I think that showed in the time that we did that.
I guess going back on your question of where we started, so that's like a really good like going back 9 years.
Yeah.
Oh, you've been doing it for a while then. Okay,
Yeah, so
okay.
I guess we grew up in Pennsylvania, and one of the big things about where we were in the area of Pennsylvania, a lot of New York and New Jersey came to this area when they would move out of the city. And when we were in high school, like it was funny because we were only exposed to like hip hop and rap. And it was funny for us because we would always actually show a lot of our friends like the newest hip hop songs. Like we would be on this site called hotnewhiphop.com, and we just new records like all the time. And I would show our friends like, yeah, I just listened to this song last night, and they're like, I love this song. And we're like, well, I think, and that was the thing. We always had an ear for like even good hip hop music, good rap. And then we got to college. We went to a small school in Staten Island. I can't believe I'm saying that because Staten Island's like the shittiest borough. It's New York City. But a lot of the kids we hung out with, they were listening at the time. They were listening to Swedish House Mafia, Hardwell, and these were obviously at the time like that just opened our eyes to like, well, what is this music? Who are these guys? And they were like mentioning Tomorrowland, and at the time in New York City we had Pasha. Pasha used to be like one of the bigger clubs in Hell's Kitchen, and Hardwell like played there, and some of our friends like, I'm going to see number 6 DJ Mo. I'm like, who is this guy? Like I had no idea who the hell he was. But the more we got introduced to that, the more we like fell in love with it. Like one of our friends used to play Hall on Air, and we were like, well, what is this? He's like, it's a radio show he runs every Friday. And this is back in 2012. Fast forward to 2014, a really good friend of ours who we were friends with at the time was like, hey, I know you guys are like into this electronic music scene. I have a program that is like you can produce your own stuff on. It's called FL Studio.
Everybody starts with that shit.
Man,
you got the beginner duh. Okay,
whatever.
Continue on.
Yeah, and so we were like, I guess. So he gave us like a cracked version, and I think the whole summer, because we were like lifeguarding here in PA, because we came back home, and that whole summer we literally sat in our room. Just when he would go to work, I would just be sitting on the computer just making music like 8 hours. Then I would go to work and he would do the same thing, and it was just like that whole summer we kind of like started to try and understand like what FL Studio was, like putting patterns together, making melodies and certain things like that. I think one of the things we always talk about too is I think from 2014 to I would say 2019, I don't think we took it as serious as we should have. Because I feel like now a lot of guys, we talk about this too, is like you can go on YouTube now and you can watch a tutorial and you can make a track and you can call the DJ producer. Like back when we started, like even 2014, YouTube was still kind of new in that sense. Like it wasn't what it was now. So we would watch like as many tutorials as we could to try and find the things that we could try and make ourselves better in. But like it wasn't like to the point where you can get an FLP and then you could just switch to certain things. It wasn't like that. But like during that time, like, yeah, it was really about like getting out of Pennsylvania, going back to New York, because we were like, we can't sustain like this sort of lifestyle, because the area we were in PA was like, there's kind of like nothing over here. And we wanted to be in a city where you have things. So it was more about like getting a job, getting established first, and then maybe like taking this seriously. But we had no idea where it was really going to take us.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess, 9 years later, I guess we're sitting here now, and
it's working out well, I'd say.
Yeah, and speaking of jobs and all that too, I heard something that you guys work on Wall Street or something as your day jobs. Is that true?
No, I don't know. Who told you that, Gabe?
Yeah, probably.
No. Actually, it's actually funny. Me and Joe actually work for media companies, and I work for a sports media company, which is actually kind of nice because me and Joe actually grew up like playing sports our whole life, and
here we go.
It's kind of easy to be in that space for myself, but he also does media too, and I could honestly say like it's probably the best like field that you could be in because it's so laid back. It's not like trust me, Ty. If we were in finance, I don't even think we'd be burned out.
I don't even know where the fuck that came from. Then I guess it was Gabe, but
Oh man, remind me to sock him in the jaw when I see him.
I just went with them. Like, yeah, man, we're making so much.
Yeah, we're fucking Merrill Lynch. Here we go. Send me your money. No, wait. So wait. I want to hold on because I want to talk about some sports. Everybody knows, listen to the show for 2 years. This is my shit. And there's very few people in this industry that we could talk some goddamn sports with. So wait, you're in sports media. Like what what are you doing in that space?
So for me, I'm actually on the advertising side. So I actually work on like it's more like operations. So I'm putting ads on the page. Like I work with a video player. But again, I don't really give a shit about it as much anymore, just because of how everything is catapulted. But it's holding us over to a certain extent, which is great because you have that sort of stability, getting a paycheck and getting pretty good money, especially living in New York. The salaries are a little higher just because of the cost of living. So it's good.
And I was gonna say, Rob, I mean about sports, and we talk about this all the time. I think having that growing up, and we played from when we were 4. We were really big baseball players, and we also played football. So like having that and that work ethic during that time, I think that actually helped us even creating music too. Because I know for a lot of people, when you're just a single DJ producer, you might not have someone else that can motivate you, and it becomes extremely hard when it's just you. Not to have someone in your ear. And we have each other, and I think we push each other to be like, well, if one day we're slacking, it's like, well, we need to get this done. And it's like, it puts something in our brain like, well, this is how we were when we played sports. Like, we can't be taking days off. And that has kind of helped us really throughout this process. And even to today, even though we have jobs and we do this during the day and after the day's over, like when we produce and all that stuff, like that's what keeps us motivated. And that's what sports has really taught us through this is like, nothing comes easy. Like nothing happens like overnight. It takes time to get there. And I think that playing sports was a big part of the reason where we are probably today.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think people quite realize like it's a competition out there, especially in the market that you guys are in New York, where everybody goes there to try to make it, right? And LA is the exact same way. And it's like you're competing against a bunch of other DJs. So when I see guys in Discord like, oh man, I can't get a gig. I had a release on this label and that label. That has nothing to do with your ability to go out and get hired. And it's a very competitive market. And he said, sports is what, I don't know. For me, like every analogy I talk to Ty about always comes back to sports because there's so many life lessons. And at the end of the day, you either win or you don't. There is no like middle ground. There is no participation trophy. Like, oh, I almost got the gig in New York. No, you either got it or somebody else did.
Yeah. No, and it's funny you say that because when we started getting gigs in June of 2021, I think even though like we look back on COVID and we'd probably take it back in a heartbeat because we lost a family member from it, and it was like a really hard time. But I want to. It did help us in a way of like because in New York, I mean everywhere, but like especially where we were from, like you're saying, competition is so big out there in New York. So when we started, it was really good for us because everybody was here now. It wasn't like we were fighting an uphill battle to get to where those guys were. Everybody was trying to get into gigs. So we were like, oh, this is going to be an advantage for us because now we can fight the guys that were like even residents beforehand. And we can get our foot in the door. And yeah, we again, like Joe said, we started off in little bars, clubs, and then like, again, like a good thing, a great friendship we made out of during COVID too was Gabe. As you guys know, Gabe's a really good friend of ours, and we've done a bunch of shows together. And like that relationship, like we talk about on the live, like talking about the live streams, like we did one of the live streams with him too, and like bringing him in and getting him on, and then like understanding like who he was, and he obviously understood who we were, and then started to do shows together. And we did the first show we ever did together was Lavo, and then we did our own show with him in November of 2021, and then. Obviously, now we kind of work with him at Mission Nightclub in New York City, which is like probably our favorite place to play. I mean, Ty, you probably know as well how great that place is. But I mean, yeah, Gabe's another one of my good friends, and it's like that's if you're gonna be a DJ, one of the best things to do is like make friends with local guys because that is like they have networks that you're probably not gonna have, and it's a really easy way to like slip in and meet new people, regardless of who they are, because they could either be in nightlife or they could be something totally different where they could help you in that regard. And I think we've met so many people in New York City, but I think like that was a really an eye-opening experience to like meet those people and then you gain connections out of that. And then
Well, talk about that a little bit as far as gaining connections because and how important that is, especially because look, even though you guys are in the most important city in our country, right? It's still a very small circle of people that are kind of in that network. Talk a little bit about like how to network for the guys that are out there looking to kind of break through, such as yourselves back in 2021. What are some of the like the techniques or some of the things that you guys did that worked well for you that you can kind of share with others?
Yeah, we could share just a tiny bit. We won't.
Just don't give away the secret sauce, but just some general things.
I think with just to start off, when we talk about our friend Stune, shout out to him. One thing that we kind of and what we do now, it's still to this day. We try to. We're not really like going in like saying, "Hey, I want to play," because for a promoter or for anyone that you want to network with, to them it's like, okay, well, what are you like? That's great. You want to play. I get hundreds of that every day. Like that's awesome. But what can you provide for me? So what we try to do it the other way around is we kind of just try to provide like value for them. Like we could do this for you. We can do that. We have this platform. We have that. You know, it could be anything. Like we've learned over the years, like if you have a Facebook group of like, I'm just giving an example, like NYC Big Room, and you could just go to them and say, hey, I have 1,500 people in this Facebook group that would come to this show if we were able to rent out this space. We have 1,500 people in this Facebook group. To them, to a promoter, they're like, wow, 1,500. Like if we have 300, if the 300 is the max, like we're going to sell this out, no problem with 1,500 people. So when we've networked with a lot of these guys, it's value proposition from our side. We don't kind of just be like, I want the gig. That's not how we come from it.
Yeah, you're bringing something to the team.
Yeah,
That's exactly what it is.
With that too is, and this is even I'm sure you guys know about this. Like even like if someone asks us to come on and play with them, and we have a really good relationship with them, we're never like in return like we need to do this for you, like you need to do this for us. Like we're not trying to like have it where we have to do something for you, you have to do something for us. If something happens out of it, that's the greatest thing out of it. And we're not like, well, if you get a song, like we can collab with you. Like we don't look at it that way. We never have. If something comes out of it, that's how you keep the connection, the friendships. And I think when we first started with Stune is what he did with us was he would put us on shows with a lot of his other DJ friends in New York. We would get on a big lineup together. We have like 5 slots, and we started meeting his other DJs that were friends of his, and it created this whole like little like clique, a circle of DJs that we became really good friends with. We'd see them at all the shows. Every time we would go out, like it would be like this whole group of us. And then it just built from there. We were able to connect those guys with people we knew. They were able to connect guys with that they knew with us, and it just became very, very easy to start connecting in the city with a lot of other people. And I think we're very grateful for that because, when people take chances on you, and as you know, like their asses are on the line every night. So when the talent bar books you, like they're looking at it as, well, if he screws up, like I look bad.
Yeah.
And we've taken every gig and opportunity that we've ever done. We've taken it, and you have to take it seriously. We've taken it to the max seriously, where it's like get there on time. Just be polite to all the people that are at the venue. What we do is everybody that ever books us, and this goes for any show we've ever played, we get them a bottle of wine. We show up to the venue. We're like, hey, this is our, we want to thank you guys. This is a form of gratitude from us. And they're like taken back by it because they're like, well, we don't usually get this from anybody. So it's like a little remembrance from them, like, wow, these guys like actually thought of me. they're not just here. They're not thinking of it as just a gig. They actually are grateful that we've booked them for it. So
you guys are going above and beyond that. And then to your point, man, when they have another gig coming up, you're going to be the first one that pops into the mind. So I love that. I love
I
that.
think it's funny you say that, because when we did the Alan Walker show with Echostage, they came back to us and reached out about Tiesto the literally like 2 weeks after. So it was like when you're in that position where at the time the number one venue in the world is coming to you, you know you're doing something right. And I think that when that happened to us, we kind of looked at each other and were like, yeah, that's them actually caring about us. They actually think we did a great job. And I think the other thing too was, it's just when they see, like, I think they saw it in us too when we showed up to the venue. Like, you can get a sense of what a person like is when you first meet them. I think everybody has like that first impression of like, all right, these guys are good guys. Or if you come in, like, again, if you come in with, like, as a DJ and you come in with somebody that's acting stupid, and even if it's your friend and he's like making an ass out of yourself, that could hurt you in the end. So you have to be like, you have to look over your shoulder every single time you're playing, because like Joe said, your ass on the line every single time you're up there.
Yeah, I love that you guys touched on all of this, because we've talked about it at length on the show about meeting people and social networking and face-to-face conversations, because a lot of these people in these Discords, not going to name names, but that doesn't matter. You don't need to do that. And going into another portion of our show, I want to talk about live music and how important it is for people to play live music and get supported by live DJs. We talked about it at length with Plastic Funk on the last episode. And once again, that's another thing that people don't realize, that you need to be supported by live DJs.
Yeah, I'll get it. That's funny that you actually talked about it, because we did talk about this last night too, before this podcast, because we were like, just thinking about what you guys wanted to ask us. But yeah, I think it's so important to play music live, and through the years we understood, to get to this point, like, you got to when you're making music, you got to think about the crowd as well. Like, it's not just me in this like sound paneled room, and this is just going to sound great anywhere. It's like, you really need to think about it from a live perspective. And we can go into like the big room dying and all this. I could talk about this for hours, but and we were talking about this yesterday as well. But when we started making that type of music, we, like, in 2020, when we kind of really found our sound and really like started to hone in on our productions, and we got better with time. And the gigs started happening. We realized at that time we needed to kind of like suck it up, because we were never going to be able to play that in these places that wanted us to play. We needed to play like the kind of like the tech house, the deep house stuff. Because, I mean, if we were opening for somebody and we just started throwing down in there, they'd be like, get him off.
Yeah, get his ass on.
So we like sucked it up for a lot of years to do that. And I mean, that's fine. I mean, if that's the way that we had to get our foot in the door, like, we were okay with doing that. Yeah. We still do it to this day. We've had a few gigs recently. Like, I think in January we played Salt Lake City. Shout out to Sky. We played with Artie, and we just opened. We were just like the openers. We kind of got the stragglers, but we were playing like more of like an Najuna type set. Yeah. It wasn't like, the Castor Pollux that our friends and the people that see us live, like, no. And we were okay doing that. It was our way of getting our foot in the door and building a relationship with that venue and those promoters. And we were okay doing that. Now, when it comes to like our shows and what we want to really play live, you got to understand like the crowd and know like what they like and what they don't like. And Ty, as you know, like, playing Mission, like, that's one of our favorite venues to play, because we're able to kind of test out our music there a lot more than any other venue. And there's the big room stuff, that like the old stuff, like they love it. Yeah. We're like we're about it, because we love that type of music. And then I remember one time we went in there, we played like a big room techno track, and the crowd just kind of just like started. Yeah. People started walking to the bar, and we were like looking at each other like, change it back, and we like. I think it was after one drop, we just mixed in another track that was kind of like more like the old big room stuff, and people came running back in, and we're like, well,
we got to keep it slow.
You got to kind of gauge them to find that out. And I think our music now, we're starting to really like, I think find ourselves more as an artist. You always find yourself and find your sound. We understand like what venues will work for the music that we make and what venues won't work. We're currently working on a lot of new stuff now, and we're making some like big room techno stuff where we know where it will work and where it won't. We're doing a lot more progressive house. I don't know if you guys are like big fans of Audion, but he's like one of our favorite artists. Just across, I mean, we've been fans of Audion for years. But the way he makes his progressive house and the brand that he now has with like Progressive House Never Died, a lot of our stuff that we're making in the progressive scene is more geared towards that sound. And we're working on with some great artists at the moment where that's where those tracks lie, like around in that sound, the progressive house. And then we have like an old school type big room track that's like we're excited about, that we're kind of working on. It's almost finished, but it has like a gimmick vocal where it's like it gets the crowd involved. So we know that will work in some places, but again, it's all about knowing like your sets and where everything works. And again, we play a lot of other people's music live. And we're always down to support other guys. For sure.
But I think going back to your point, like you got to know the venue. That's number one. And I think if you're gonna be DJing at like places that are, for example, here in New York, Lavo nightclub. Okay, Lavo nightclub. We played a few shows there, and you got to understand, Lavo, you're not gonna get like the big room crowd, the crowd that's going to be going crazy. You get people that are going to be at the tables, are listen to top 40. You have to go in there. You have to play mashups. Mashups are so important. I think me and Joe, when we first started out in 2021, and even to this day, like we are always looking for new mashups every single time on Hyped It, on anything you could find. Like there are so many mashup packs that come out that we're just like, these are great. And even we started making our own mashups too. But you got to know the venue, and you got to have sing-alongs. Like that is the most important thing. And I think that's really carried us for the last 2 years.
Yeah, and not just doing that on our own songs too. We'll put in like vocals that are in key, find which ones we think would work, and then test them out. And we'll find out like if it doesn't work, then we'll change it. Or if it does work, like we know like okay, that's something that's gonna hit, and people are gonna remember like walking away from that venue. Like remember when they played like I'm just for example like that. Remember when they played the Katy Perry? Like I never thought I'd hear that in a track. Like we played Project Glow in Washington D.C. last year, which is the Echostage guys. They're now it's now their second year in April. They're running the second year of it. Last year we like played one of our progressive tracks with like a Katy Perry vocal, and after our set we like walked off. And this like dude came running over, and he was like, "I never thought I would hear that in like a mashup." And we were just like, "Yeah, like it's great." Like people actually like take notice of that because everyone's music taste is different. But at the end of the day, Ty, you're right. Like playing live is so important, and road testing tracks and knowing that they can work for a crowd, or if you need to change little things. Is the biggest thing as being like a DJ producer for sure.
Just remember, people at home, you need to play "Living on a Prayer" mashup every single time.
Oh man,
it's a great mashup. We have a guy that does it.
You're at least gonna hear it 3 or 4 times at Ultra this weekend or next weekend when it comes out.
Well, okay, we touched on networking, and even off camera, we talked about it. You guys are going to Ultra, right? You guys are headed out there for Miami Music Week. And you said it's your first time going, right? What is the objective for you? I know you guys aren't playing, so that's like a straight like networking kind of business trip. Talk a little bit about what you're looking to achieve out there.
Yeah, I guess we'll just take it back. So we did ADE in this past year, and I think I'll speak for every single artist out there. If you really want to network yourself, you have to be there. We're going every year, like literally after this year, like. We're going every year from now on because I think that trip alone like opened our eyes a bunch. Because I think we've never been to Miami Music Week, but we're kind of understanding what it is. But AD, I feel like is way more of a networking like conference. Miami Music Week is like you go down there, you go to party. I think Ty, you were there last year, right?
I was, yes.
So you it's gonna be our first year, but we're just looking to meet up with a lot of the guys that we kind of know from not just New York. And I think that's another thing too, is like networking outside of your local city is just as important as networking in your local city. And I think that's the great thing about us as well, is like we've done that to from LA to Salt Lake City to Chicago to Raleigh to Philadelphia, like Boston. Like we've been in all these,
DC,
yeah, DC. I mean, obviously those guys, but all those different places we've been to, and we kind of like now know like certain people, and they're gonna be down in Miami, and we're just gonna finally like get to see them again. So yeah, it's just about going to certain parties. You never know who you're gonna run into. We don't really have an objective, really.
Yeah.
We have a few parties that we're gonna hit. We're not going to the festival. Hopefully, we can probably maybe sneak our way in somehow. But if we don't go, it's not the end of the world. But it's just about seeing the people that you've seen while like months ago, just reconvening with them, getting a conversation, and then again, you never know who you're going to run into.
Yeah, and I think I was going to say, sorry, Rob, to cut you off. I was going to say the other thing with Miami is like, the guys that want to meet us, it's never you never know who they're like with to be like, yo, let me introduce you to this guy, and it could just be those conversations. And I know we know with like networking, like things might not happen like the week after. Like, yeah, I'll book you in like 2 weeks. Like we never happen, but having that conversation and then maybe just following up the week after and just saying like, good meeting you. Like, hopefully we could do some business together or work together at some point in the year or maybe next year.
Planting seeds. I like that. Planting seeds. And Ty, back to, you went last year. I know you met the boys, A&G, and then lo and behold, they came on the show, earlier in the year or late last year. So that is like one of those examples where you just never know who you run into and what doors then that can open. But for the people in these Discords, you got to get the fuck out of your house to actually do this stuff, because like you said, no one's going to hire you because you have fucking 100,000 streams on, XYZ labels. So
and that's another thing. I think, and we always talk about this, I think that is one of the biggest things that we've seen in the scene for a while now, is like, you could have releases on the biggest labels. If you don't know a soul, unless you have somebody backing you, like a booking agency or a manager that is backing you in a way that is a good thing, like unless you don't have any of those, like you're not getting anywhere. Like if you don't get outside your house, that is like the number one thing you have to do. I think the big thing that me and Joe have now is like, we know guys in our own city where we can be like, all right, we can go out and then we can meet people there. Like if you're not doing any of that, like you're never gonna get anywhere. And I think a lot of guys think like music can take you so far. Yeah, if you're Martin Garrix or Craze, like you make those hits, but that's a once in a lifetime thing that can happen. And then I don't think it's not something that I would want myself to. I mean, yeah, granted, it would be great for us to have something like that, but I don't think I'd really want that. I want to play like it's not a sprint, it's a marathon. Like you have to build that up. And I think I see a lot of guys on the biggest labels where they're not playing. There's also guys that don't even make music that play even more than those guys. So it goes to show.
Well, okay, so you've played all over the world, right? Or excuse me, all over the country here. Okay, let me ask you something. Best venue you've played at, Bart? Like, what is the top one for? It could be either one of you guys have a personal choice, but what is your favorite go to?
Yeah, I mean, easy choice. I mean, it's definitely Echostage, and I talk about that. We talk about that venue a lot. Those guys. Again, shout out to them, the promoters there at Echostage, the best people that we ever worked with. We've talked highly of them across anybody that we've ever talked to. Just a great staff, great people. The visual guys, great. Like the talent buyer, great. Just the people around us that when we get there, like it's almost like one big family. It's not just like everybody's just there to do what they need to do and just get out. Like they really do care about not just the headliners, but they do care about the supports. And it's not only just that. The reason why I say that is just because of their staff, but it's also like the crowd and the people that are there. Like I've never seen a venue that we've ever played where the people in that crowd care about the supports. Like usually when I used to go to shows before we were doing all this, like I would like Hardwell's our favorite artist. So when we would go to Hardwell shows, me and people would like wait till he got on. Or I would be like screaming, we would be in the crowd like talking like this guy sucks. Like the support, like we're waiting for him. But like those people there, like they actually really do care about you, and like they put you up in stories that like the last time we just played it, when we just played there with Alesso a couple of weeks ago, we got off and the night ended. There were people waiting on the like railing for us to come outside because they wanted to like take pictures with us, and me and Pete are like, well, we're not at that level, like we're like famous, but the fans do really care, and it's like we were giving out merchandise and we were giving out flags, and like these people were like so excited and like thankful that we were like giving them those things, and it's just like having that and just the camaraderie around that venue, like the hype around it is like I really do believe like if you've never been there before, like definitely just like even as a fan, like go, because the way the visuals are, the lasers, like the production, everything they do there is really top notch, and it shows of why they're a top 3 club. I mean, I know DJ Mag is a fan vote, and we could debate that all day long, DJs, but I do truly believe it is a top club. It's probably the top club for me in America that I've played, and for a lot of people that have been there, and they do get like the best acts in the world. So yeah, that'll always be our favorite. Yeah. I mean, we are trying for other venues in America, but the fact that they've given us chance after chance and have really believed in us as artists, not as just as like human beings, we really do take that with the greatest appreciation, because if you just play there once, like it could be like the greatest moment of your life, but being able to play there multiple times and say that is it's awesome.
Yeah, because I think another thing, sorry to cut you off, is like we've played like with Alesso, Zed, Alan Walker, Tiesto, like Garrix, like you talk about those guys, and I if you would have told me 3 years ago, like you'd be playing with those guys, I think anybody in the world would want to be like, I want to play with those guys. But I think also, I think what it did for us when we played that venue was obviously we kind of knew we had to start bringing it, and I think a mind shift really changed. We're like, we can't go back to the smaller places anymore. Like we want to keep playing these places. But I think the other thing that it did too was like when you see those guys in person, you could still like touch them. They're human beings. You literally see them in person, and you're just like, oh well, there's Alesso and there's Alan Walker like standing right next to you with 8 million followers. Like they're all just another guy standing right next to you. So I think that was another thing too, is like
we stopped being like a fan.
We stopped being, or like you stop being like those guys, be like taken back by artists when you have to act like an artist yourself. So
I mean, they're coworkers in that sense. In that evening, they're your colleagues for the evening, right? Like you have to work together to get this show. No, that I can see why that would be your favorite. Especially, I mean, those are the who's who of our industry, essentially.
Okay, so switching it up and all that too, because Ultra Miami, like we talked about, is going to be next week. I think this episode's actually going to come out the Sunday of that weekend. What do you guys think you're going to see played at Ultra Miami? You think it's going to be a lot of big room techno, big room house, all that? What do you think is going to be played at Ultra?
Well, I think from my standpoint, I think one of the bigger acts that's very, very surprising, and again we could debate about all this, is Charlotte DeWitt. I think she is an incredible artist, but to see where that music was a couple years ago, and now you're playing it on the main stage, I think it goes to show like where the techno space is at the moment. Yeah, I think she's going to be a surprise set, and I know she obviously always brings it, but like you wouldn't expect her to be playing that stage. So I think that's a set that and I really wasn't a fan of her years ago, because I wasn't in that into like that sort of stuff, but the way that the music scene is changing over like the last year or so, I think she's going to be a set that you should have your eye on. Obviously, I think me and Joe talked about, you're always ready for Hardwell and to see what he's got up his sleeve, because we know all the new music that he usually plays out in his Ultra set. and especially the EP he's got coming out right now with a bunch of the guys. I'm really excited to see what he does with Ollie James, because those Ollie James tracks that he's been playing in his sets for quite a while. I mean, we saw him at the UBS Arena in September for the Rebels of a Die tour, and that was another great show.
Yeah. I mean, with Ultra, I'm excited to see some of the guys at the revealed stage. We Jeffrey Sartorius, A&G. I mean, shout out to them. I know I'm sure you guys saw they just got signed a dedicated agency, so they're gonna probably start. We'll start seeing them in a lot more shows in America.
Mm-hmm.
We got a chance to speak with them at ADE about just a few things, just to meet the one of them, which is great. The revealed guys there. Should be a good one. We're really big fans of Dub Vision as well. I don't know if you guys are big fans of them, but again, the Mouse. We've always been fans of their music, and we play some of their stuff in some shows. They should be a good one. The only thing is they clash with Alesso at the main, so I know a lot of people are kind of debating on who to go to there. But we're also, and I'm not sure if you guys have met Reggio. We're very good friends with him. We actually played with him here in New York a few months back.
Right before ADE.
Yeah, right before ADE, and then we reconvened at ADE, kind of just met a few guys out there. He's going to be playing at Ultra. If we are there that day on the Saturday, which we're trying to go that Saturday. We definitely want to go to his set. He's closing out the Oasis stage, so we're excited to see what he does. We'll probably be seeing him during the week, at any of the parties or probably anywhere that he wants to be. But I think what Pete said, I agree with. I think the techno space is really, I think it's in right now in terms of where the electronic space is. I think after COVID, a lot of things changed, and we can talk about this whole the big room with the saw leads and the kick in the second half of the drop. All that's gone. Like me and Pete love it. Like we've always loved that music, and I still think people would want, even if it came like out of nowhere at Ultra, I think people would want to hear it. I don't think people are like dead of it, but you do have these new crop of fans and new crop of people that have gotten into the scene, where they're a lot of people are. I don't know if you guys really follow Summit, but I think a lot of people are on like his.
Oh yeah, he is white hot right now. He is electric.
I mean, I don't know if you guys follow the Brooklyn Mirage here in New York. I mean, he just sold out he has 2 days that he's doing in June. He sold them out, so I think that space is really hot right now, and I feel like a lot of people, which they're all about these like 10-hour sets, these 9-hour sets that like these Gordo and John Summits and Black Coffee, like these sets where like people are going longer than just an hour and a half. They like that more than just standing there for an hour and kind of jumping. Which I mean, I'm all for the jumping, but I think I don't know if he's performing there, but he will be there during Miami Music Week. Is Mal P? Like I mean, we all know him as Maurice West. I still wish he was that. That's where he went because of what he saw. But he is killing it. I mean, he's got a lot. He's got his own show. He's got a lot of good shows and a lot of good music that he's already played, and a lot of stuff that's coming up. And as Pete, like I said with Pete, I think the techno space is really where people are like leaning towards nowadays.
Okay, let's get into some fan questions because we had a few and all that.
Okay, here we go.
The first one is, what are your hobbies outside of music? What do you do outside of music?
I don't know. I mean, we're still big sports guys, so whenever it's kind of like, I mean, it's not that warm in New York right now, but anytime like in the summer, we're always trying to play basketball, throw the baseball around. We're big gym guys, so we always try to keep in shape.
That's important.
Yeah, I think it's really, really important for your mental health. Obviously, I think everybody knows that. But yeah, I think other than that, it's maybe drinking vodka Sprites.
No.
I think that's what I do.
Yeah, go ahead.
Before we get into the other fan questions, I got a fucking question. All right. Born in Philadelphia, live in New York. Phillies, Mets, Yankees. Which one is it? Which one are you guys a fan of?
We actually didn't grow up in Philly. We grew up in like North PA.
Okay,
So
okay.
Yeah, so we're like in like the woods, but we were born in Long Island, which is probably why you probably hear a phrase.
By the way, I love these accents. This for the last hour of this conversation, I'm like, this is fucking great, man. This is like authentic New York accent right here.
We're Mets guys. Yeah.
Nice. Okay, Gabe will like that. He's a big Mets guy.
Oh yeah, we know about that. Yeah.
He like lives in like Flushing. He's like all the way out there.
Yeah. Big year for the Mets, boys. Big year for the Mets. It's got to happen.
Yeah, we're excited. I mean, we're like when baseball season comes around, me and Peter are like, oh man, here we go. I don't know how they will do without DeGrom. Granted, I would have kept. I don't know how we would have kept him with all the injuries, but I think they're going to be all right.
Oh, dude, Verlander, you guys almost landed Carlos Correa, but then that whole fucking scene. But no, I still think Mets, man. I think they're the favorites to win that division. They can come out of the NL. I think it'll be a fun year. Baseball is always better when the New York teams are doing well, right? Like baseball as a whole, it's a major market. Okay, Ty, back to the good stuff.
Yeah, go baseball. Anyways, got a few other ones, and these are kind of weird, but I'm gonna ask them anyways. Creamy or crunchy peanut butter?
Yeah, I know who asked that.
Yeah, I would say creamy.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep it at that, and that's
we'll
it.
keep it at creamy, and that's it.
Okay. Who gets some more girls at shows?
Oh, about single.
Wait, was he?
He said who gets more girls at shows. You know, it's funny. I mean, I would say the both of us.
Yeah.
But we, to be quite honest with you, we kind of don't really worry about that stuff when we're playing. I mean, if it happens, it happens. But that's not really the end goals.
Yeah.
But
a lot of people like they kind of get into this game because it's like, oh, I get the stage and I get people in VIP and guest lists, and me and Pete, like, we'll have friends that with us, but you'll have girls kind of just like try to get in, and we're just like, well, we're not about that. Like if we have a girlfriend, like, great, hopefully she's supporting, but we're not in it for that.
Yeah, I wish these were kind of like music questions, but yeah.
No, fuck that. We talked about music already. I got one.
Sure.
I got another one. Let's bounce it off me now. All right. So I talked to Zax about this last year, right? And he and I are big food guys, right? Clearly, I like food. It takes a lot to maintain this physique. When I it takes a lot of food to do that. When I go to New York, and I say to both of you guys, I need the best slice, the best pie in the town. Where am I going? Where are you sending me?
Wow, that's a good question. I would say I've never been, but I've heard it's really good. John's at Bleecker would probably be the number one. I mean, I'm going off of Prez's 9.3 score.
Oh man, did I follow that religiously?
I also do know of people that have went to John's at Bleecker, and they say it's absolutely phenomenal. So I'd probably tell you to go there.
Yeah, them or there's a place in Brooklyn near us called. You have to go like 2 hours before to get a reservation because it gets so packed. It's called Lucali.
Oh yeah.
It's very good. It's like brick oven, like.
Mm-hmm.
He's actually got like a thing on YouTube. If you type in Lucali, Lucali, like he did like a little like documentary on like First We Feast, where they do the wing challenge with all those celebrities. Yeah, he did like a little documentary about how he created the restaurant. It's really good. You should check it out. I always watch it because I'm like, damn, this pizza is legit.
I'm writing that shit down. I'm literally writing this down because that is like, I'm going there to eat, and then in New York to eat, and then happen to catch some ball games later in the summer. Well, let me ask you this question, and I know, Ty, you've got more, so I don't want this to kind of like feel a finality of it, but from a goal standpoint, right? We always talk about where you take these projects, where do artists want to kind of the end game, or where do they want to work towards? What's a big goal list for you guys? Do you have something that you guys aspire to, like, hey, we're not stopping until we get to Tomorrowland, or whatever the case may be? Do you have like short and long-term goals that you work on?
Yeah, I mean, one of the goals we always had was obviously being on the bigger labels. I think a lot of guys look at us and go, well, how are you guys getting so many shows and you haven't really been on that bigger labels? Well, that's going to change this year. We do have 2 tracks coming out on our dream label. I'm not going to say.
Wait a minute. We're getting excluded. We don't have to say it because we're going to respect that. but that's an exclusive drop here, Ty. We've got Castor and Pollux, and they are on a big label. I have a feeling I know which one it is, but the fact that you guys have signed it and confirmed it, I think that's fucking awesome.
And yeah, it's not just one; it's two. So so that's really. I mean, we were really really happy about it. And it was funny too because the first track that we got signed there was guys that we met randomly at ADE. We got introduced. This our good friend that we said Reggio. He like introduced us to these two guys on a whim at the Turn It Up music party, and we kind of were like talking. And he actually came to one of our shows in Chicago, and he gave us like a bunch of demos. And we heard one of them, and we were like, I think we should ask him to do it. Like, we should. This is the only one that's really our style. And we were like, hey man, like we should do this track together. And he was like, I was hoping you guys were gonna say that. So we were like, okay, great. So yeah, and that one got signed, and then we did another one, and that one's so both of them are coming out in May and June. So we'll probably post them.
Right in time for the summer festival season. Exactly. I like it. Yeah.
I think that's a short term goal. Yeah, the short term goal was always always the bigger labels. I'm not, the end goal was not always like, let's hit 1 million streams on tracks. I mean, the numbers are great, but at the end of the day, like we don't look at that as like, the end goal. Yeah, I think another short term goal is since we've been working on all these we've been getting all these shows. We've been doing that all ourselves. It's not, we don't have anybody helping.
Yeah, I was going to ask you guys don't have an agency or anything like that, right? This is like all like kind of homegrown organic stuff, right?
Yeah. So we were going to talk about, I forgot to talk about that earlier on, but everything we do is by ourselves. Like we don't have anybody help us. It's just me and Pete, just like going to promoters, finding them, going through, like you have no idea like how we find promoters when we can't find an email. Like we'll go through like Instagram pages, we'll go to like where people will get tagged, we'll go through that, and then we'll find like we'll even like DM people and people will answer. If you say it the right way and it's not coming off as like so needy, like people will give you the content. I actually before this, we were like an hour before, we reached out to, we were trying to find a talent buyer for a venue that we're looking to play, and he found like the Instagram, and he's like, can you hit them up through your Instagram? I was like, yeah, sure. I hit this person up, just said politely, like, are you the person that books the talent? And they were like, no, but I know who it is. Like, give me a sec. And they just sent me the email, and I just like, thank you. We'll reach out. So I think a short-term goal in that sense is trying to find someone that is really going to have our back and really fight for us in terms of maybe like booking agency or something like that. If it doesn't happen right now, it doesn't happen. I know booking agents really look for guys that are kind of more established before they take somebody on, because then they have the ability to kind of get them booked more easily if people know who they are. When it's a smaller artist, it's very, very hard for them. But that's a short-term goal, is to kind of get an agency that will back us at some point. I don't know when that will be. We have reached out to a few agencies, haven't heard anything yet, but that's a short-term goal.
Do you have a venue though? Like, I know everybody says Tomorrowland, EDC. Okay, we get that ultra. Okay, that's everyone's. But do you have a venue that you guys are like honing in? Like, man, I really want to play there, whether it's in the States or even overseas. Do you have something like that?
Yeah, I think I'll speak for just myself. I don't know how Joe feels, but we always talk about the Brooklyn Mirage, and I think being from New York and where that venue has like what that venue has done in the last year. I remember going there with Joe to see Hardwell back in 2018, and the setup was like totally different to what it is now. And I think playing a hometown show at that venue would be something really, really special, I think, for us, because the what they've done, like I said, like what they've done to that venue with the big LED screen, productions like they have for it is ridiculous, I think, and it holds like 6,000 people. That'd be something. But I've always said Webster Hall. I don't know why. When we were and it's funny because when we were in college, they used to have these things called Bright Night at Webster Hall, and they used to get like the big guys like Danik, Blastajax, Vice Tone, W&W. Like they used to get all the big guys, and we used to go to those shows, and they were crazy. They were like amazing. But I don't know why. Like Webster Hall has always been like a really special, would be a really special place for.
It's an iconic venue.
Yeah. And I think a couple months ago, Will Sparks, who I was going to talk about him if he came up in the conversation, but I love what he's doing. He's one of my favorite artists at the moment.
Yeah,
that's
we're
really
big fans.
Oh yeah, I've been rocking with him for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, what we did on our new track "Manipulate" is kind of like we kind of replicated what he did on "Say It Again." I know "Say It Again" came out last year, but we kind of actually like took that as a reference track and kind of obviously made it our own way. But yeah, what he's doing, and like going back to Webb's Hall, he just did his own show back on his North America tour there. So it's like seeing those guys play those venues, it'd be something really special just for me. I don't know. Those are the two venues.
I was gonna say like having like I don't know if you guys have ever heard of Irving Plaza. It's like another Webster Hall. If we were like, a long-term goal of ours would be like to like sell that out and have like 1,000 of our close fans, like or 500 fans like come in and support like you said, a hometown show, like, and having a bunch of fans there for you would be awesome. Like you were saying, Rob, playing the EDCs and the Ultras and the Tomorrowlands, like, I think that's everybody's goal. But if there's like a goal that we really had in mind is to kind of like, when it comes full circle and it comes back to the place that actually like made us, that's like the most important thing.
I love it, man. When are we gonna get you guys in LA? When can we get you guys in LA?
We were just in LA.
We were out there.
Do you not do your research, Rob? What the fuck?
Fuck, man. I've been in another state for like 3 weeks, 2 weeks.
No, yeah, we were just out there.
It was our second time.
It was our second time. So we played Avalon in last Labor Day with Thomas Gold. It was a good show. I mean, it wasn't as packed out because it was Labor Day weekend. But we were just out there
from Matisse and Sacco.
Yeah, from Matisse and Sacco, which was sick.
I'm sorry, guys. He has dementia. His age is
I fucking learn something new every day. That's why I like doing the show. You guys heard me say before. I like doing the show because I get educated, right? Like I get to meet new people and get educated. So now it's like, okay, these dudes have been out here and I'm not too far away from that Southern California, from LA. Man, you know what I mean? Like I look forward to the next time you guys come out here. That's literally why I love doing this. Cause I learn something about artists all the time. And I actually try to come in like kind of fresh, right? Like I like doing homework is cool, but I kind of want to listen to you guys from a fan's perspective where I learn and just kind of absorb everything that you guys are saying. It's really been cool.
Yeah. Avalon's a really great venue. Another top 100 club. They are actually one of our favorite venues to work with too. I mean, they're just the nicest people, and I'm sure we'll be back there soon. And if you're around, we'll definitely get us. Yeah. We'll get you on the guest list. I mean, legitimately, bro. Like Avalon, like it's crazy. Like some of the venues that we played, even I mean, obviously apart from Echostage, like Avalon has the biggest behind area that I think we've ever played at. Yeah, and it's really great because like you have all your people behind you. There's just like so much room there because it's almost like a theater in there. It's not even a club.
Yeah.
Also, Rob, we'll get you on our table the next time we play.
Dude, I'm walking into that place like I know these fucking guys. I know the DJ. Oh, I'm walking in, lats flared out. I know the DJs. Let's go.
No, it's a sick venue. Like when we come back there, like we'll definitely let you know so you can come out with some friends.
Yeah, no, it'd be awesome.
Well, guys, last thoughts and all that. Do you have any advice for these younger producers and DJs? Because you guys know on the show that a lot of people watch us and they're a lot younger than us and they want to learn some things from DJs and producers. Do you have any advice for them besides what you've already gave us?
I think just, I think for us, and I think I talk about it a lot is, when things start happening for you and, if it may come 10 years down the line, 15 years, however long it takes you. I think one piece of advice that we've given ourselves is don't ever let it change you. Don't ever let just one high feel like you're the man, because you could get brought back down to earth real quick. So I think if you stay humble through all these like little wins that you have, and you're gonna have lows. They happen to everybody. They've happened to us. I'm sure they've happened to you guys when you've made music or done a gig or something in your life. So just stay grounded and never let things change you. A lot of people, like I said, they get ahead of themselves and they think one little thing, like one big label release will get they can start bragging because they got that. It's just one.
That's the sports mentality, man. It's hard to get there and it's even harder to stay there. That's the mentality you were talking about earlier on. I love it.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, just because like when we played, just because we played like a bunch of big clubs, we've never like walked around like, oh yeah, like we're these guys. Like we've always stayed true to who we've been. And it's funny because we had a birthday dinner. Our birthday was in February 13th, a couple of weeks back. And we had like this big birthday dinner with friends, and they were going around the room like asking us like telling us like what they liked about us. And a lot of people said like, we love that you guys are going for this, but it's never like we've never seen a big change in who you guys are. It's been you guys have been the same since we've known you. So I think that's if anybody watching this and listening, like, please don't let things like get in the way and change you just because of a couple big wins. Like, just stay the same person that you are, and when things happen, like, you know, you appreciate it, but you keep going, because at the end of the day, like, you know, things aren't over just after one thing. And I would that's the one advice I would give.
I don't think I could. I'm not going off anything you said.
Okay.
Exactly what I would say. Yeah.
Well, guys, we appreciate having you on the show, and there's going to be a lot more wins in your future coming real soon.
No, we want to thank you guys for having us on. It's been an absolute pleasure. I know when you guys started this, we were like, oh, it'd be great to be on the show, and now we're finally here, and we'd love to be back soon if you guys would have us. Yeah, it's been great talking to you guys, though.
Yeah, we'll have you back on after you drop those after big label releases, man. And hey, look, congratulations, because I know that's not easy, right? Like, especially doing it the right way. There's no shortcuts. There's no buying on the track. Like, it's done the right way from you guys. So that's I think that'll, like you said, that you're gonna have a lot of sustained success. So congratulations, boys, on that.
Thank you guys so much. Thank you. Yeah, you guys. And by the way, you guys are killing it with this. You guys,
we appreciate that.
You guys been getting all the bigger artists that everybody looks up to. So, you know, keep doing you guys' thing for sure.
We really appreciate that. And guys, with that being said, this was another episode of Voices on the Ground. Once again, I want to give a big thank you to Joe and Pete from Castor Pollux. You could go and follow them at Castor Pollux Music. And like always, my host, Robert Go, you could go and follow him at Robert Go on Instagram. And you can follow myself at Young Ty on Instagram. We'll see you guys on another episode. Thanks.